Hello and welcome to the Vent Sesh. That's right. Every Friday, I got real people going through real problems, and we're going to try and figure them out as best we can. I'm Jared Freed. If you want to be a part of the Vent Sesh, these have been amazing. Go. Send in your email to jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. That's jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. Title it Vent Sesh. Title Event Sesh. We'll reach out to you. We'll try and get you on so we can discuss your issue. But these have been really great, deep, heartfelt, fun, light. Oh, the shades of the rainbow of feelings and emotions. And today is going to be no different. Today we got a on-again, off-again relationship that's been going for a long time. And then we have a kind of a good friend drama. We're not sure. A female best friend. Can it exist? We're going to figure it out today. And listen, if you're watching, you're on my YouTube channel, I want you to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, and I want you to comment. If you got something to say, how you would handle it. Maybe it's you have a relatable issue that relates to the topic at hand. Comment. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell so you can get an update every time we post here. I'm not posting every 5 minutes. I'm doing it once a day. I put up a video every weekday, but also I'm going to come on here live. We do the Rose Rehash. I put up stand-up clips. So this is all about growing the YouTube presence. So let's get to our first guest. Come on out. Kelsey, come on out.
Hey, Jared. How are you?
Kelsey, thank you. I'm good. Thank you so much for doing this. It is great to see you. Let's get into it. What's the issue? Tell us about your problem. We want to figure it out.
All right. So it's a long one, but I'm going to try to keep it concise. So me and this man have had an on-again, off-again friendship, dabbling into the relationship territory for 6 years now. But this
6 years. Give me what was the first year that this was? When did you guys meet? Give me how do you guys come across each other?
Freshman year of college. One of my friends from high school back home introduced us, and then our friend group got very intermingled. So we're all involved.
So, was it ever freshman year, and you are now how old?
25.
So you're 25. So this person has exists for your whole adult life.
Exactly. Yes. He's been in and around.
And has there ever been a moment where you were boyfriend and girlfriend?
No, never got to the official stage. He's never actually had a girlfriend. So He's got a track record of starting a relationship, and then he dips and runs when it starts to get a little too sticky.
What's the most serious you two have been?
This past August is when things started to get a little more serious. It seemed different. I'm like, we're 25 now. Seems like maybe he was matured a little bit. And he actually came. So I live in Nashville. He lives in Atlanta. He came up to Nashville for Labor Day weekend. And the trip went great. He was being super affectionate in front of our friends, in front of my parents, which was a fun kick. How did
your parents come into the picture?
So they were just in town. He's met them a bunch of times before in college, but they took us all out to dinner. He's like holding my hand across the table, really putting on a spectacle. He pulls our friends aside and says, "Hey, I really like Kelsey. Like, should I move up to Nashville?" And I'm loving it. I mean, I am swooning.
Would you say this is kind of what you've always hoped this would be?
Oh, for sure. I'm picturing the brunch with the ladies. I'm like, it's just timing. It's a crazy thing, I love
Finally, it worked out. Okay.
Like just two crazy kids.
So you have this magical August weekend, Labor Day weekend. And how does it end with you two as far as what's the conversation? And this is someone you've hooked up with in college. And how do you, again, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit out of order. How do you come to he's coming over August? How does that trip happen?
So we had rekindled, we went on a group beach trip for two of our friends got engaged. And so that's really when things re-sparked. And then we were talking every day, FaceTiming. And I said, hey, if you want to come up to Nashville for Labor Day weekend, he didn't give me quite a straight answer. And then the week of, he's like, yeah, I'd really like to come up. I'd love to see you. So then he comes up to Nashville for the 3-day weekend, which was fun. So, so naturally after that, he did start to slow fade my ass real quick after the trip. Just
so what happens? You after the trip, you're texting how you've been, you're having check-ins, and what is how did the slow fade feel?
It felt like a slow death of less texts, like longer in between each text. And what really was the pinnacle of it ending was I went down to Atlanta to visit friends, tell him well in advance, thinking, of course, we're going to see each other. And then he doesn't try to see me and doesn't really talk to me that whole weekend. So I was like, yikes, that one hurt. So after that, it sucked. But so I decided to be vulnerable because we've been on this cycle. And I was like, all right, I got to say something this time because this can't just continue. So I sent a message, tried to keep it focused on the Atlanta trip, kind of keep it grounded in facts, and said, hey, it really hurt my feelings considering the weekend we had not even a month ago that you didn't put any effort into seeing me when I was in your city. So he responds.
Did you see each other at all in Atlanta?
No, we went to Auburn. He was in Auburn, but didn't tell me he wasn't in town until I was on the way to Atlanta. So I was like, yikes. Okay, great. So I tell him that hurt my feelings. He responds and apologizes and says, I'm really sorry. I really do care about you. I'm just got a lot of things to figure out before I commit to anything. Jared, that is where I popped off a little bit because I was like, that's fine. Like, believe it or not, I don't want to date somebody who acts like that anyways, but it's just really not cool for you to act that way with no intention, like no thought behind it. And he did absolutely leave that message on read. So that was the last exchange that we've had, like communication, until, surprise, last week, I get home and there's a big ass package for me from him. So I open it up and it's a stuffed animal from one of my favorite TV shows from like my childhood. A handwritten note detailing how sorry he is, how much he cares, how much, he hopes that I can forgive him one day. And then the real kicker, just the creme de la creme of this whole thing, was he knows I love Winnie the Pooh. So he hand sketched Pooh Bear and Piglet frolicking on the back of this note.
Now we have the sketch. Let's put it up right now. And we can kind of make it out. It is a good sketch.
It is good. I'm not saying that changes anything, but it's pretty good.
So where do we stand now? What is your question?
So my question is overarching, what the fuck? Second, more importantly, what is my move here? Because, we're going to see each other again. It's not till 2022, but we have to walk down the aisle together at my friend's wedding. Like, we're going to see each other. And I want to acknowledge the gesture, but not just sweep everything under the rug and act like it's fine. So, do I longhand respond to this letter? Do I continue to drown in the sea of blue, as you would say, give him a call? I just don't know how to respond. It's been a week. I've left the letter unread so far. What do I do?
Mm-hmm. Well, the answer to all of this is convenience. And I want to say a few things, and I don't mean this to be anything about you specifically. This is about, and this is just about the situation and the way it's come about. You've known each other for 6 years now. You are a safe person for him to reach out to.
Yes.
He knows you think he is worthy and valuable and attractive. So you are a source of a lot of good for him. And that's because you're a good person and he likes you and he thinks you're attractive. He thinks those things of you. So he wouldn't be coming back to you, but he's coming back to you for a certain type of drug and you're the pusher. So when you say, like, in the beginning, I wish I could rewind because I can't remember exactly what you said, but you're saying that, like, well, he's never had a relationship and he's never this and maybe the timing's better. It's like, No, this isn't about him specifically. It's not about you specifically. It's less personal than that. It is him working through his stuff via you. And the idea that he came to Nashville and anyone can be a boyfriend for a weekend.
Oh yeah, he was playing house for a weekend.
Totally. But anyone can do that. Anyone can section it off. The minute you became inconvenient to him, the minute you came to his town where there were other options and there were other things to do and he didn't have the schedule right in front of him, was the minute he flaked out. So, and I'm sure this has happened 100 other times. I've been him in this situation to other people. Like, it's not, this isn't exclusive to you in this situation. So, and again, when he writes you the letter with the piglet, drawing and all the things that are sentimental, that's convenience too, because he's trying to make sure he keeps you as an option for the drug that you push for him. He doesn't want you thinking, he doesn't want to be hated by you. He doesn't want to be an asshole to anyone. I'm sure. I tend to, kind of like believe in the good. And I don't think that he was doing this to get you or whatever it is. But I do think you have to let him know where this lands for you. And it's different when he does these things and he feels bad after the fact. The way he feels bad after the fact isn't the same as how bad you're feeling during this whole thing. Yeah. So I think so, like him apologizing, again, you and him are exchanging feelings and stuff, but it's different. You're feeling it differently. Like what a 2 to him is a 10 to you, or vice versa. Like just where it lands. Like if we could stop the clock, because this situation is very relevant to a lot of people watching. I'm sure you have this person that's been out there, and now you have to like be around them because you got a wedding in 2022, and what are we gonna do? Or is it gonna be weird? It's always gonna be weird until it's not again. Right. So we have to get through. What keeps it weird is to keep having this will we, won't we. I think it starts with 2 things. You have to admit that this is never going to be more than this.
For sure.
I think you, and that's a personal thing. I can't tell you how to feel, but this Atlanta trip should show you this isn't going to change. There's not going to be he's finally grown up moment. And he might grow up for someone else, but I don't think it's going to happen for you because, again, with a lot of relationships, I think with a lot of people, there is an ascension. It has to go up the mountain. It can't just kind of like plateau. And I think this is in a land of, you guys get together and it's okay. Well, I guess we're doing this now. It's like, that's not exciting for either of you.
No, no, not at all.
and I know that, like, for you, I'm sure you like him and I'm sure you're enjoying, but I'm sure it was just the semblance of like, oh, wow, finally we got, like, at a certain point, he becomes like a goal. Like, it's not even a person. Like, oh, he's here with the family. Look, I'm not the idiot anymore. This is the guy. I told him he was a good guy.
Timing, Jared. It worked out.
Yeah, it's all timing. Timing, I believe in timing, but I also believe that it's timing is different for different people. It's all the match and timing. It all goes together. So, and I know that's a vague way of putting things. So it starts with, you have to say, I'm done with this cycle. I'm done with the rinse, wash, repeat, because this will happen again and again if you let this off the hook and you say, and you start doing the drunk texts and you start doing, and because he'll let it happen because you guys, it feels good for you and it feels good for him. So you have to, and then I think the way you do it, part of ending it with someone is letting them know it's been ended for you and how much them doing certain things hurts you and brings you back. And that takes a lot of vulnerability and it's tough. So I think your text to him has to be bullet points, and it has to be live in the land of non-emotion. When you came to Nashville, your actions made me think that we were moving to a different place. Atlanta proved that wrong. I am not looking to have a romantic relationship with you anymore. When you come back romantically, you are legitimately hurting me and my feelings and wasting my time. I look forward to being able to be around you at friend events. But that's not going to be until that happens. For now, I need you to back off. If you text me, you are hurting me because I'm going to back off from my end too. And listen, I'm a part of this. I don't hate you. I don't think, and I think it's important to say I don't hate you. I don't think you're evil. I think we're both, complicit in this, because the minute you say I hate you, I think you're evil, they go, no, let me send you Winnie the Pooh. Let me show you that I'm a good person. So I think what he's doing right now is self-preservation. He sends you the big package. It all deals with like things he knows about you. So again, I think if you get away from the emotional, like, hey, I don't hate you. I need time away from you. If you text me, you are hurting me and hurting my process of us becoming cordial at a wedding in 2022. I want to be able to hang out with you and know that this is beyond us, but I am not going to be romantic with you anymore. And you could say, Nashville hurt my feelings. Atlanta was the breaking point. There is no coming back. I have moved on. And I think if you say it in those like bullet point, like it doesn't need the minute you write back with long things, I could see that would make me feel like I'm now romanticizing myself into it again.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So this is very hard because so many people deal with these people that have been around, and it's like you make them evil, and then you also know that you're a part of it because you're returning the texts, and
and that they do care, but not enough. Like it's not, they're not a bad person. That's why you like them, but that's not enough to keep doing the cycle over and over again.
No, and it's gonna keep going again because he's still gonna go, well, I don't know, and it's like. A lot of people wait around for that moment that the timing's right for the other person, but I would say that the timing is going to be right for someone else because of the lessons they learned with you. And I know that's hard to hear, but everyone's that person for someone.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Do you feel helped? Do we?
Well, Jared, you did it again.
Right.
I do.
Kelsey,
thank you so
much. Thank you for coming on and being so nice and honest. And this was, and listen, your problem relates. We get these emails all the time. This is a relatable issue. You're not alone. This is something that, like, oh my God, like everyone has this person.
Yeah.
And especially now in the era of no need to like rush to go get, married to our college sweetheart. Like in another world, maybe this is the one you already have 7 kids with. So Kelsey, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jared. Have a good day.
You too. That's right. Real people, real problems. This is the Vent Sesh. If you want your situation unraveled, send it in. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com, jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. You got to title it Vent Sesh. Title it Vent Sesh so we know to get out to you and to reach out to you to be make you a part of the show. Let's bring on our next guest. Erin, come on out.
Hey, Jared. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Ready for some advice.
Let's dig in. Hit it. Let's go.
All right. So I met a guy on Hinge a few months ago, and we clicked friendly right away, but we don't have anything in common. We don't listen to the same music, same TV shows, same movies, nothing. We don't have anything in common, but we enjoyed each other's company. And like transparently, the physical chemistry was great. So we just kind of decided after a few weeks and after a few dates, like we had the talk, we both were on the same page that like, we don't see a relationship here, but we still kind of wanted to do friends with benefits. But then he also said that like he wanted to continue to date other people. And that if he got physical with them, we would stop being physical together. I was cool with that. A week after we had that talk, he said to me that he met someone else and like he wanted us to stop sleeping together. I was fine with that. I had kind of rekindled an old flame myself. But this guy and I kept talking. We would text every once in a while. We hung out a couple times, totally platonically. I don't know if that's a word, but it was all platonically. We were friends, And then at the beginning of November, he reached out to me.
Erin, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt. When you guys were hanging out platonically, was there ever like a discussion of like what you guys had or whether that was over or what was the...
Not really. And it's like the first hangout we had after we had like the talk or like the talk that he was dating other people and that our physical part was done. The first hangout, like I was kind of awkward because I was like, do we hug? Do we touch? Like I didn't know what the boundaries were and we didn't really discuss them. Like we ended up just like getting dinner and watching a movie, but like we didn't talk about like anything. There was no physical.
Because I think what you've had, the start of this is very healthy and very communicative. Right. Like it sounds like you guys put it all out there, and the fact that like he was like, hey, I'm physical with someone else, and was comfortable to say that, like, kudos to both of you, because that's hard to do. How do you have, like, who calls who for this friend hangout? Because
he would text me.
Had nothing in common, but then you're like, so he would text you.
Yeah, he would text me like once every couple days and just be like, hey, how's it going? And like, I guess I would too. He was more the initiator, but I would too. And it was just like, what are you up to tonight? Want to watch a movie? And I was like, sure. It was just kind of that stuff, or you want to go to dinner or whatever it was, And so it was just very, like we didn't talk about it. We just knew that we weren't physical anymore. I knew he was seeing someone else, whatever, And then at the beginning of November, we had planned to hang out, and he said at dinner that he had ended it with this other girl, that like he wasn't feeling it with her. He had just ended it. And then like one thing led to another, and we ended up sleeping together that night. But then we hung out for 4 days straight. And then on the fourth day, he invited me to a bonfire to meet all his friends, which to me is a big deal. And like, but we had no talk this time around on what this was, And so at this bonfire, I met his female best friend, who I had heard a lot about since day one of us hanging out. But because I never really had feelings for him, I was just like, cool, this is your friend, whatever. But this time around, I'm kind of feeling like I might have feelings for him. Like we're getting to know each other more. We're hanging out more. I met his friends. And I kind of wanted to go in hating this girl, but I actually really liked her when I met her. She was really nice, like woman to woman. She was a great person. I have nothing against her. But they hang out all the time. When he and I are not together, they're hanging out.
Okay. So have they ever hooked up? Has that ever been discussed?
I don't know. He's told me, so he's actually divorced. He's been divorced for about 2 years, I think. And he's told me that he's had relationships since then, but she's never come up as somebody. I don't know that they've dated.
How did they become friends? What do do you know about their relationship?
I don't. I do know that she lives next door to him, so that definitely plays into why they hang out all the time, But I don't know their history or how long they've been friends. I've not really tried. Yeah, I've been like kind of trying to avoid.
But we just don't know. We don't know, right. And fear lives in the land of our imagination. So I can understand. I don't think you're wrong, or I call it FTG mode, fuck that guy mode. I hear about someone that is on my turf a little bit, my immediate reaction is fuck that guy. So what you went into FTG mode, which is totally human and understanding. You're gonna go to this bonfire, you spent 4 days together. Who's this other person? Oh sure, that's her friend, but they hooked up. I get it. I get and then you meet her and you see that, the idea that she was so nice and sweet to you, that does say something. Like it would take a total psycho to be that nice and sweet if they were like having a thing with this guy on the side.
Right. And that's true. I think the kicker though was that he and I had plans to hang out. I think it was 2 weeks ago at this point. And I went to his house to have dinner and watch a movie. And when I get there, he was like, hey, I invited her to come over and hang out with us. Just like kind of was like, is that okay? And I was like, okay, sure. And again, she lives right there. So I just felt like in an awkward position to be like, no, sure. I want alone time with you. But when she came over, it really was as if I wasn't there. I mean, it was like the two of them joking around the whole time. The three of us are sitting on the couch together. He made an effort to hold my hand, but if he wasn't holding my hand, it really would have been like I wasn't there.
I had a very similar situation with someone in a different context, but I've told the story on the podcast a lot. And I know exactly what you mean. You have nothing, there's nothing wrong going on here, but it just feels off. You didn't feel, and I've been in that situation where you're like, why aren't you tending to my feelings when you had me over?
Right.
In your mind, why wasn't there a thought that this would make me uncomfortable? Is there a sense of that?
Right, exactly. Of like if he had called me before and is like, hey, I know you're coming over tonight. I also invited her to hang out with us. Is that cool? Like giving me the heads up, I felt like I would have felt like better, but like throwing that on me and just kind of like assuming I'm cool with this. And like, I don't know. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, on top of that, so we live in Chicago. I'm in Michigan this week for Thanksgiving, and like they're spending Thanksgiving together. They're spending the whole week together. It's just, I feel slightly hypocritical too, because I have male friends that I'm close to, but I'm also not calling them and texting them every day and hanging out with them every day. Like, I'll be hanging out with him and I'll see him grab his phone and text her and be like, "Hey, what are you up to?" It's like, you're with me right now.
Yeah, and there is a little bit of like, what's his deal? Why does he need so many people around at all times? Can he ever be alone? Was this an issue in his marriage? Or, to me, it's male or female. Why does someone want to be around someone all the time?
Same. Yeah.
I think I'm with you where I'm like, there's something to his personality that you can't listen. You're getting to know him. So everyone comes with their own quote unquote baggage. I call it baggage. It's always negative, but I think everyone is holding bags and there's something in them and we have to kind of figure out if what's in them kind of matches with us. And you're going through that process with him and you just met a few months ago. So we don't know a lot here. And again, you guys started as we are friends with benefits, and they're sometimes people are so upfront with something, then they use what they were upfront with in the past to kind of just like keep their own shit going, like to be like at your even though they know it's not best for you, they're like, well, we agreed to this contract, she's stuck in the contract. It's like being on a bad like loan contract, and So where do we stand with the situation now?
I mean, like, the thing is, it's like, I think I do have feelings for him and I don't have any qualms like telling him that and like having this conversation again. But I don't know if I say to him like, "Hey, by the way, I'm like a little weirded out by your guys' relationship," or if that's just normal and I'm being crazy. And like, I guess I don't know what conversation to have with him now.
So I would say from my angle and just after hearing the story, I think you don't know what their situation is. Like I do think if it was male or female, if I'm set to have a date with someone that I am dating, then I don't want them inviting a friend over during the date.
Right.
So that doesn't have anything to do with the nature of their relationship. So I think it starts with, hey, what are we doing here? I'm starting to have feelings for you. If you're not feeling, and you guys have been already very communicative, so like you guys have a good start. So it's like, can we pause the clock? Because I want to make sure you want to say, I think it's I'm feeling things for you. This is not friends with benefits for me anymore, because I think right now he's living off of the last contract you made. I think he's got a good contract, and he's like, I'm not gonna give this up. I'm not gonna make the move to give this up. And I'm not sure you're gonna want to date someone like that in the future. I don't know. Maybe you say something and he's like, okay, great, let's give this a shot. And he's the best boyfriend you've ever had in your entire life. I don't know, but I'm saying there has to be a point where it starts with, hey, when we're together, I'm really enjoying our time. And then it becomes, now you have okay, what are we going to do? Okay, he says, maybe I'm down to like give this a shot. I'm not going to be with other women. I'm going to, let's figure out what we can do. Let's do a date next week. That's like a best case scenario. Worst case scenario, he says, well, I like the friends with benefits. And at that point, you'd have to go, well, maybe this isn't the situation for me.
Right.
And because I think when you're so upfront with people, then all of a sudden you're doing things that kind of work in the bylines of the contract. You're kind of taking advantage of it. And that's kind of what it sounds like is going on here, where he's like, I've got like to me, if I got close with him, I would want to know how did the divorce happen? How did this friendship start? I would have all these questions about the friendship. I dated a girl once that she had this friendship, and I was like, so what's the deal? How did you meet? And where, what's their dating situation? These are all normal questions that would make you feel better if it's totally normal. And to me, it might be. I mean, and it might be for her and not be for him. Maybe he's in the friend zone with her. You don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's another thing I considered too. Maybe it is unrequited on his end. or the other way around. Yeah.
And because I've met people, you know, you meet people all the time that are like, they're the coolest people, and you're like, oh, there's nothing wrong on their end, but then you're like, oh, why is he still, you know? And I do understand where it's like with someone that it didn't work, with someone that you were like, we have nothing in common, we're just friends with benefits, and then you start feeling it, and then you're like, well, why aren't they together? I can understand that thought. You're like, why?
Yeah. That's exactly what that's what I really want to ask him is like, why aren't you dating her? but I don't want to open that door because of my feelings. Yeah.
Well, so I think like that isn't necessarily your issue right now. The issue right now is, hey, I'm feeling some things. This is more than friends with benefits for me. The terms of the deal have changed on my end, but I need to know where that leads to you. Listen, I could see that this woman is, you could be like, this woman is, it could end up that this woman is totally normal. You totally get it, but you're like, yeah, but he can't just be alone for 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah. I think that's what the real issue is. Yeah.
And that's a different issue. That's not even, and you're like, do I want to date someone? Again, that comes back to your standards where you're like, do I want to date someone who can't spend 5 minutes, like, just him and I on the couch and needs to text other people asking what they're doing tonight? Like, it doesn't matter that it's her at that point.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's very fair. I just need to have the conversation with him is really what it is.
The hardest part, the easiest advice to give, the hardest to take. And I get that. But I do think this friend, the way you describe them, like, I'm not sitting here being like, wow, you better back away from these two. Like, I could see you get involved with this guy and that friendship becomes your friendship. Like, I could totally see that happening. So
that's fair. Yeah.
I think it starts with letting them know, like, hey, I'm in a different place. And I mean, relationships are constant check-ins. Where are you? Where am I? What, we said it was this way, this one. And now we're, you know, I'm kind of feeling differently. And it's, you know, like, to me, it's like, you got to be okay with like losing someone like that. You know, that's kind of the only way to work it. But Erin, thank you for coming on. Do you feel
Thank you so much. I do. I appreciate it. I know I just have to have the conversation. So thank you.
Good for you. Erin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it. That's the Vent Sesh. We do it every Friday. I want you to send in your situation. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. Title it Vent Sesh. That's how we know to get out to you. That's how we know to reach out to you and see if we can bring you on. So, but listen. Love doing these. Get subscribed. That's the way you pay for that entertainment. If you've made it this far, you got to subscribe to the channel. Come on, hit that button. We'll be back next week. Boom.